Rack, get set. Hey YouTube! This is our first video, and we thought we would start with recapping kind of where we've been. We had once been on Instagram sharing all of our things.
But now we switched.
We went to LA for holidays.
Yeah.
After spending like quite a bit of time with
My family.
your family. So we got to spend like a whole week with my family down in LA, which was super fun. Lige quit sugar while we were in LA.
Bad idea.
But you can only imagine what that looked like if you knew how much sugar Elijah Valentin
Consumed.
eats. Oh my gosh,
It was mind blowing.
It was so bad.
Like borderline 2 liters of Sprite every single day.
Absolutely 2 liters of Sprite every
Okay,
single day.
yeah.
So let's just say, like, if you can imagine if that's what your body is surviving and living on, and then all of a sudden you
You guys could imagine the withdrawals that was.
How's it felt to quit sugar over Christmas break?
Horrible.
How are you feeling today?
Like, sick.
Are you caving a little bit?
Habit isn't keeping.
No, you're making really good choices. I'm actually really impressed.
I used to drink more than 1 liter of Sprite every day.
Oh, too easy on a good day.
Yeah, that, like, I'm not even exaggerating.
And it's been 7 days without any Sprite.
Yeah, it's been a whole week. Like, no sugar at all. Like, I've had fruits and stuff. My head hurts.
Just crazy, but we've been drinking lots of water instead.
Sex has been great, though.
So Lige went to
Texas.
Texas.
Went hunting with my dad and my brother. I got some javelinas.
What are javelinas though? Because I thought he was saying hyenas the whole time.
Javelinas? Okay, what I heard was a javelina is a cross between a rat and a pig.
Not a hyena like from
Not
the Lion
a hyena.
King.
No,
I don't know anything about hunting.
a javelina.
Javelina.
We'll put a picture up.
But here we are. We are launching the YouTube Hello 2021. We have made it. And we thought we would start off with welcoming you guys to our channel, introducing ourselves. Like, just picture this a virtual little like coffee date. Like, you're just in our living room and we're just chatting. And of course, Elijah has his corona. We're gonna tell our stories.
Yeah.
Where we came from. Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So I grew up in Reading. I don't even know.
So you grew up in Reading.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Reading? Where are you from?
So I grew up in Reading. Well, I was born in Reading, spent the first 3 years of my life in Weaverville, where that's where my parents were doing the church thing. My dad was actually fighting fire, and my grandparents were doing church. Then the church moved to Reading, so my parents moved to Reading when I was about 3. And so, yeah, I was kind of just living like a kid life till I was 9.
A kid life.
I don't know. You do random things when you're a kid. You don't even know what to expect.
A kid life.
I was living the kid life. My parents got divorced when I was 9, and my mom was gone for about 2 years from then. So they got divorced. They sat us down and said, "Hey, we're breaking up." My mom left for about 2 years, so we didn't know if she was coming back, where she was going. So once my parents got a divorce, my dad had like tons of guys come live with us. We were heartbroken, obviously, as anyone would. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, your mom's left.
Yeah, your mom left. So
That's traumatic.
yeah, super traumatic. So we just had a bunch of guys come live with us, a bunch of roommates, and they were awesome. They'd take us to the skate park, all that kind of stuff. Anyways, she came back after 2 years, and so my parents started doing the split thing where they'd split the week in half. We go spend time with my mom and spend half the time with my dad, and so But my mom's place growing up was super, super Yeah, super dysfunctional. Like, almost as dysfunctional as it gets.
Yeah. A lot of adult things.
Yeah, so just having to deal with a lot of adult things when I was really little. Being around not so fun people and not so fun things. And so just kind of splitting that time up. You know, I'm a PK with my dad and being a pastor at Bethel Church and my grandfather, and then going to my mom's house that was super dysfunctional.
It was like two extremes.
Oh, two extremes, yeah. So I'm like, yeah, it was just, it felt like I was living two different lives.
Totally.
And so that went on, I mean, still to now, but I ended up going to high school and doing sports and basketball and soccer and all that kind of thing. Graduated high school and was doing the fire academy in high school and knew that I wanted to do something like hands-on. Like I know I didn't want to go to college, or I knew I didn't want to like go overseas or even leave Reading. But during high school I was still really broken. Just from what I went through as a child and growing up. Like I just was super mad at God and didn't know who I was, and I was just hurting really bad. And so I would go to just partying and having sex with other girls and just doing bad things just to cope with the pain that I was going through. But at the end of my senior year, I ended up having an encounter with God, where I went to a Sunday service and got called out, and God the Holy Spirit just absolutely hit me. Yeah. And it was amazing. Like all the pain, all the shame just left me. And so it was about like 2 weeks before BSSM started, which if you don't know, BSSM is like a Bible college or a Bible school, like a ministry school. And so did that for 2 years and met you, and we got married a year later after finishing second year.
Yeah.
And here we are.
There we are.
Here I am.
We made it.
Tell us about you.
Yeah, I'll tell you about me. So, quite different than Elijah growing up in little Weavertown in Reading. I grew up in LA, which is totally different than this culture here. Fast paced. It was a lot, and I didn't even know it until I moved here and was like, whoa, it's a whole new world.
Yeah.
The world doesn't all function like that. So I grew up in LA. I had a super awesome family. Like mom, dad, I have an older brother, younger sister. We really grew up in quite a small like bubble, considering that we lived in a big city. Like I went to private Christian schools and we were super involved in the church. So that felt like normal. Like Christian life was really normal. I couldn't even remember like knowing somebody that wasn't a Christian except for like neighborhood kids, you know? Until that felt like really solid. Like I just thought like, well, these are the rules we live by. But then in high school, my brother left home and he actually came up to BSSM, and that was the first time I heard of Bethel anything. Which I would say so many aspects of that completely changed my life, completely changed my family's life. But also the year he left, my life just began to like plummet. Like I was in a super hard spot. It's super apparent now looking back, like, oh my gosh, I did not love myself. And outwardly I looked super confident, super perfect, like did all the right things. But inward, I was just like eating myself alive. And I don't even know if that's the right term, but I was struggling.
Starving yourself alive.
Starving myself, really. And then by my senior year, I had a super awesome community. Like the community I had at school was great. I had like best friends. I actually met my pastor here. He was a football coach at my high school, and he had started this church where they were talking about things that like weren't even necessarily like, I don't think like how do I phrase this? Like in conservative Christian world are like norms. So it was the first time a lot of my friends were ever introduced to Holy Spirit. So I had this amazing like experience with my friends who had like fallen in love with Holy Spirit, and we had this great, awesome environment. But that year, my home life just like disintegrated, and it was horrible. Like family was like shook into its core, and I was like, once again, struggling at home. And I think in that season is the season that truly I became super passionate about healthy relationships and healthy family. And I knew like my family will not experience this. Like my kids won't experience a home like this. And I went after that, and I just began to like seek after like, what does it look like to have a healthy family? Like I thought I knew, like I grew up in the church, but really what does that look like? And how do I talk about the things that happened in my house and between my parents without shame? Like I had so much shame, I didn't even talk about it for years. And we can talk about that later time, but I just became super passionate about that. But went off to college and was thrown into the world after this little like Christian bubble experience, and was shocked by system. And this is just being brief, but then made my way to BSSM after college. And
which you went to UCLA.
Yeah, I went to UCLA, and I studied international development studies, and I had just a heart for the nations. I thought it was gonna be like a missionary or like politician or a
Married the wrong guy for that
lawyer,
trash.
or I don't know, like who knows what the future holds. But I have a lot of dreams. And anyway, came to BSSM, and my life was changed forever on so many levels. Met Elijah.
Ain't nobody tell me nothing. Nothing. Ain't nobody tell me nothing.
Oh! The first year I was here, we started dating at the end of the first year. I got to recap this, but then got married. We got engaged at the end of the second year and got married 6 months later. So that is us. But we're here talking all things married life.
And we're going to be here every single week.
Yeah, we're talking about the trickiest stuff, like the things that we wish people talked about or told us about.
And that's why we're doing this. It's because we got to a point in dating or engagement where we're like, no one told us this. and
we
so
got, and not to say like the counsel that we got like wasn't great. Like everyone was incredible.
There's just things that people are afraid to talk about that we're not afraid to talk about. And when we get in a fight, that's something we're going to talk about and share about, because other people are going to have that same exact fight.
How do you do boundaries really well? How do you do dating really well? How did we handle engagement season? How are we doing day-to-day life? Like, what does it look like to create a home? And we're figuring out our normals and figuring out what our life is going to look like, and what it means to be a wife and what it means to be a husband. Anything else you got?
No.
Well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
On some juicy topic, I'm sure. Ooh.